All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the second broadcast, actually, of the new year. I actually did an impromptu yesterday. Paulo's checking out the new microphone here. I hope that everybody's doing great. Thank you for picking a topic today that I think is going to resonate with a bunch of folks out there. New year, new moon. I actually added the new moon portion because we are in a new moon, and new opportunities. What we're going to be looking at today is really how to focus on making sense of everything that's in front of us, because I think a lot of times in a brand new year it can feel overwhelming to just sort of think, all right, here's my year's resolutions, these are the things that are going on, I'm also getting some information from left and right, how am I going to bring this into focus? So you guys chose an excellent topic for today, which is trying to be discerning basically and figure out what's the best use of your time. So thank you so much. Excellent choice in voting. So thanks to all the channel members and subscribers that voted for that. The other thing that I want to kind of talk about here today is, well, we have a great totem as well. As I was meditating this morning, I got the picture of an egg and a little baby chick, and I thought, what a great metaphor for the new year as well. So we'll be looking at like the baby chick and also the new moon as our two main totems, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Before I get started, let me talk a little bit about what's going on also with the overall organization of this reading. So I always begin with channeled messages. These come through in dreams, meditations, and as I'm sitting here researching. So that'll be part one. Because it's a weekly, we're going to go straight into the 7-day forecast after that. Then we'll look at blessings and blocks, elemental breakdown, earth, air, water, fire, etc. And then we'll do a special viewer's choice usually after that. Today's big focus, like I said, is the new year, new moon, new opportunities, what to choose, how to kind of discern. And then at the end, we always like to do a meditation and a final card based on whatever other questions you might have. I do my best to be able to try to figure out what you want to talk about, but there's sometimes one thing that's very specific to you. So you can hold that question till the end, meditate on it, and I'll pull a card. I think I forgot to say, but my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. My little furry assistant there is Apollo. And this is for everybody that's present. The only portion that is going to be specific to signs will be that elemental piece, and that's going to be the third part here when I get to it. All right, so let's get started. A couple of quick notes. We have two moderators today, both Dakota and Maria. So if you have any questions, they'll be able to help you out. If you ever want to get extra reminders, you can join me on social media. All of my different handles are right here. And I also pinned that in the comments, so you don't have to worry about trying to read it and remember it. It's usually just my name, just for reference on that. If you would like to show support, you can do that by clicking on the super chat icon right there. That allows me to continue to upgrade my equipment. This year, I've actually been able to upgrade both my camera and my microphone. So thank you. Also, I continue to buy new decks. So that's how I do it. I actually reinvest in the channel. So much appreciation. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. Later on replay, you can also show support through the thanks button here. Okay, that's it for now. Let's go ahead now and talk about what's coming through for this week ahead. All right, so let me grab a picture. I think we all know what a baby chick looks like, but this is an excuse to look at a cute little bird here for a second. So this is your metaphor today, the baby chick, and of course the egg that it comes from. But who doesn't like to look at a furry little chicken for a second, right? Okay, so let's talk about some fun facts about the baby chick, why it relates to you, and how we can make this totem work for you this month and this week. All right, so again, dual totem. We'll be looking at the new moon and the baby chick. We're going to start with the chick first. It takes 21 days for that little tiny furry baby chick to emerge from its egg or to hatch from its egg. So this is a nice, and this is, when I was a kid, I remember seeing the incubators. It's not always just a brooding hen that will take care of it. A lot of times there's this sort of like incubation period. So I think that this month, whenever you're watching this, because this portion can kind of be timeless, there is an incubation period at hand. It might take the better part of the month, like 2 to 3 weeks, right? But growth and progress takes time. So you can rush some parts, but you can't rush all parts. And I think looking at a hatching egg is a perfect metaphor for understanding what's in your control and what's out of your control. I don't think they do this as much in schools anymore, but like when I was in science class as a kid, I remember that we, I guess one of the farms kind of came in and put an incubator in the classroom, and we watched for, 2 or 3 weeks as the baby chicks were getting ready to hatch. And we looked every day, and then I remember them hatching. So it's kind of a cool thing stuck in my memory, and I hadn't thought about that for a long time. But it does show you a couple of things: the timing and the nurturing piece of it. So as you're entering into this incubation period, whether you're watching this, again, in January or later, it doesn't matter. Whenever you get an idea, whenever you have an epiphany, whenever you make a goal or a plan, it requires, just like an egg, fertilization. You have to put energy into it to see something grow from it. It requires patience and warmth and sort of like this love. And so if you don't give your dream, your sort of goal, all of that sort of energy, then it's going to be very hard for it to continue to grow. Just like a seed and eggs, very much the same thing. So the question that I get from Spirit and from myself here is, are you feeding your dreams, and are you also nurturing yourself as well? I hope so. And if you're not, this is basically an encouragement for you to take care of you in this moment. Because if you are running yourself ragged, let's say you've just been so busy that you're not getting enough sleep, that it's hard for you to focus, you're going to be a lot less effective at creating that sort of breakthrough moment, cracking out of the egg. I also connect the eggs with the Ace of Pentacles, and it's basically asking you to focus on potential. Because in an egg or in a seed, we don't see the full grown thing. If it's a plant, you're just going to see this tiny little hard shell. And same thing with like an egg. You're a little bit more delicate with an egg, but either way, the potential is there, but you have to kind of like trust in the potential. In our own lives, it's a little bit different because we're not kind of like literally in a shell, right? But dreams can be fragile at the beginning. And so what you want to do is you have to believe it before you can see it. It's kind of it's weird to get your mind in that space, but you have to see it here before you see it here. To quote a 70s or 80s, I think it was 70s, don't stop believing, right? Journey. So don't stop believing in yourself, and really don't stop believing in that dream, because you owe it to yourself and you owe it to that dream to really make something happen. Okay. It's interesting that we use the word chicken, because of course that little baby chick is going to become a chicken, to signify cowardice. Mostly kids. When you're an adult, you don't usually say, "Oh, that person's a chicken." But as a kid, a lot of times you make the sound like a clucking chicken and call someone chicken if they don't do something. It can be peer pressure sometimes, but when we look at this as a symbol here, I think it's, oddly enough, I'm going to use the chicken as bravery. That's why this particular symbol came through. So have the courage to give something a real chance to happen here. And not just a chance, but it's also kind of like quoting some science fiction and fantasy movies here. Star Wars, do or do not, there is no try. So if you really want to see something happen, you have to trust that it can happen, and you have to believe. That scene in I think it might have been Empire, I can't remember, but it's where he's training with, where Luke is training with Yoda, and he can't quite get the ship out of the marsh. And he keeps saying, "I'm trying, I just can't do it." And that's where Yoda kind of shakes his head and says, "You're not listening to the training. Don't try, do or do not, there is no try." So if you really want to give something an attempt, I don't want to even use the word try, just go for it. I kind of like the Nike slogan, just do it. See where you go. Trust that it could happen. And then if it doesn't hit it out, if you don't hit it out of the park at the first try, that failure does not signify necessarily an end. In fact, it's probably, I'm going to kind of skip ahead to this card because it makes sense. One misstep does not equal failure. Course correct, regroup. No successful business person has ever kind of like had a pristine record where every single thing they've done from the time they were born to the time that they're a CEO or something is perfect. There have been missteps, there have been mistakes, and it's just a matter of, did they learn from it? Did they get better? Are they repeating those mistakes? That's what matters the most, right? So, okay, you messed up. Keep trying. Ask for help. Look at it from a different angle. The new moon is a really great time to clarify and create. It's also a great time to start that momentum. So if you've been dragging your feet a little bit, this is the time to stop dragging your feet and say, okay, I'm going to take step one today. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but I'm going to make that phone call, send that email, check out that whatever that website, whatever you've been waiting to do, just start the process. Sometimes it's especially things we don't want to do, whether maybe you're trying to prepare for a move, or you're thinking of looking for a new job, and just the thought of revising your resume stresses you out. Just one step at a time. Open up the file, look at it, change a couple lines. Doesn't have to be done today, but you should start it today because it's a new moon. So start the intention, putting it on the list, but not just putting on a to-do list, doing something to make that to-do item a verb. Make the action happen today. Focus on your efforts. I talk about the Two of Pentacles a lot of times. When you let one thing go, you've got an ace. So for some of you may already have an ace of Pentacles, or an ace of cups, or any ace for that matter, but it would be better if you did less and did it better. So like with a magician card or an ace card, sometimes in reverse, if you're not focused on what's going on or what's available to you, then it actually becomes tricky for you to be able to see the action take place, because you just get a little bit lost, right? So I think that the important thing for you is to say, I don't have to do everything. I just need to see some action in this one area. And when you focus the intention, things will start to kind of happen faster than you believe. All right. I talked earlier about one mistake or one misstep not equaling failure. So trust that you're going to be able to recover. Think of just being able to course correct and recover. There is no fail, really. There is this just this opportunity to learn. It's context. I've said that before. I also think that some of you have, it's like an Easter egg hunt, hidden resources. Avoid any sort of time sinks in your life. Like, we all like a good movie or TV, but if you're watching a lot of TV or playing a lot of video games, or you kind of go into Facebook or YouTube even, or Instagram, and a lot of time goes away, just create a schedule. Decide, like, this is how much time I could do this, and then I want to do some other things. And you might be surprised that you could reclaim that resource of time or energy. Now, the time sinks can also be people in your life. We've all had them. Someone who talks on the phone for like many hours, or you enter a room and they always need something, but they're not always kind of giving back. So if there are takers or time sinks in your life where it just feels like they're anchoring you and not allowing you to go to the next level, then the important thing for you is to sort of like identify that and create some limits, I think. Okay. The new moon brings a lot of good stuff. So I always love new moon energy. Much easier than a full moon. Full moon, I'm usually having crazy dreams, and you're sometimes just, there's a lot of emotional stuff. With new moons, there's a lot of optimism. They can bring new faces, new opportunities, and sometimes happy surprises. An unexpected message from someone that you've been waiting to hear from. Maybe good news that you didn't expect. So open yourself up to be surprised in a very positive way, and open yourself up to see things that you didn't normally see otherwise. So it's perspective, right? Look and listen. That's going to be the most important thing, because that's going to show you the possibilities. If you don't look, if you don't listen, if you're not present, things slip past you. It's like the Four of Cups, right? Or the Two of Pentacles upside down, where you're just kind of losing the balance because you're stretching yourself too thin. It's time. Okay, now some other messages here came through independent of those two totems, and these are just dream messages that are going to be important as we look at this week. Take a look at your career. I got this weird sort of energy around, maybe it's a question of permanence. That's the best way to put it. So some of you might be in a contract job and looking for something permanent. Some of you might be thinking, is this what I want to do? And this could be even independent of your career. It could just be like commitment in general. So expansion is the most important thing. Whatever you're focusing your time and energy on, if you're not feeling that expansion, that's a dead giveaway that it's time for you to kind of look in another direction. I think the question around commitment for you is, are you in it for the long haul? Or is this something that you see as a stepping stone to something else, right? I think that for many of us, this could be a relationship. It could be a friendship or someone that wants to kind of like go the next level. And so you have to think, do I want this? Is this what I want? It could also be a job where you thought, I'm just going to be here for a year or two, and then I'm going to go to the next big thing. But maybe because you're detached and still doing a good job, there could be an opportunity for advancement. Sometimes that kind of weird stuff comes through. But the question of how temporary, how How committed are you? That was what was at the top of my mind when I was looking at, yes, either a career or a partnership. And the two kind of, it's at least in spirit sometimes blend together because they're both different types of partnerships. And I mean, even in traditional times, marriage was often like, it was just more of a contract, a business sort of thing. So think about what it is that you're trying to get out of a situation, what it's giving back to you that's going to help you. You need to figure out what you want because someone might ask you. So decide now so you're not put on the spot, basically. Okay? I think that's going to be super important. The next thing that came through in dreams was a kind of conversation that you might be having that either there was a lot at stake or there was some heated sort of emotional energy. And basically, the important thing was not to walk away. So try to stand your ground and try to find common ground with the other person as well. I think that's going to be the sort of important piece here. So if they want to walk away, say, let's talk this out. Let's not leave this room unresolved. Let's see if, or let's at least agree to come back tomorrow. I think it's important to make sure that things don't kind of fizzle or that one party or the other doesn't walk away. And the last one makes a lot of sense because of the inclement weather that has been kind of going across at least North America. But I was shown a leaky roof or leaking roof actually, and I was looking at the paint was kind of like bubbling and I could see water coming through it. To me, when I see that, it's more of a metaphor. Some of you, it might be literal, like you need to check out, make sure that you have proper, the sort of tiles on the roof and all of that, make sure that that's okay. But this can also mean that there's something in the foundation of a relationship or a situation where there's holes in it. So you may be asked to kind of like poke holes into a problem, be a problem solver. There might also be something where nobody's paying attention to what's wrong. And it's sort of like, we can only put buckets around here so long before the roof caves in. So you have to figure out what needs to be fixed and fix it rather. So no more procrastination. I think that's going to be important. And as I said at the beginning, all of these messages are for everyone. That's what the word collective means. There will only be one specific portion for the elements, and that will be coming up shortly. We're going to move along next to the 7-day forecast. Again, this will be for everyone. Then we'll break it down into the elements after that. Okay? So hopefully you enjoyed those messages. Again, I really feel good with this new moon that's coming through because I feel like it's just about opportunity. And as long as you focus on the opportunity, then it gets exciting. You don't feel like, how am I going to make this work? What's going to happen? You don't get in your headspace as much. So I think that's important. Keep dreaming, keep doing, keep kind of moving. And all of that is going to bring you into a really good place. All right. So let's focus on the next 7 days. The only portion where I'm going to bring the camera down is probably going to be when I do the main sort of reading, just because I don't want to deal with all the equipment up and down, up and down. All right, so let me see which particular deck is calling to me today. Let's see here. I think I'm going to use let's see. I'm going to use the Rachel True deck here, True Heart Intuitive. And let me just pull all the cards for the upcoming week and we'll see what's coming through for you. All right. This will be from Sunday to Sunday, all signs for the next 7 days. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay. So we'll start off with what's coming through from today. We have the Temperance card in reverse. For many of you, this is about patience, patience with yourself, patience with others. The other thing with the Temperance card is taking the first step, something I feel like we talked at great length about today. So kind of getting your feet wet. We see the angel here of Temperance starting that new journey, trying to create balance sometimes where there isn't balance, right? I think it's going to be really important for you just to sort of imagine that it's going to get easier. Even like getting up this morning, sometimes it's, especially when the weather's a little bit colder or whatever, you get a feeling of, can I do this? Is it going to be okay? Like once you get out of bed though, and once you start to get moving, have some water, walk the dog, have some breakfast, all of a sudden it's easier. You just have to get that first step out of bed, right? And then things are better. So it's like waking up. So that's what today is. Figuratively speaking, it's a big wake up moment where you have to sort of say, okay, let me just push myself. So if you're watching this on Sunday, the biggest thing here is just to kind of allow yourself to be pushed forward. If you're watching it a day later, or if it already is Monday, then just remember that some of that sluggishness still may be with you, but you're going to let it go. You're going to let it go because the energy of tomorrow, of Monday, looks really, really good. We have the Two of Wands here. So this is saying exactly what I put in my cards here that I was writing. If I can see it, then I can do it. If I don't see it, if I don't believe it, how is it going to be possible for me to start to create traction? So Monday is very much a day where you're going to focus on planning, visioning, envisioning, any sort of work where you can kind of get the big picture. This is just as powerful and equally as important as the High Priestess, because it kind of like it's almost like you're putting a pair of glasses on top of the High Priestess, and she can see better because she's powerful when she knows what she's doing. Otherwise, it's kind of like grasping in the dark and grasping for straws in the dark. So this is saying, no, I know exactly what I want to do. How it all comes into being, I'm going to just pay attention to the signs, right? So that's what Monday's about. Just do some, it can be researching, be asking questions. It could be looking around too, like literally sort of searching a little bit, soul searching, all of that. And for some of you, just dreaming or giving your dreams a little bit of care and of energy, like we were talking about the egg, the little baby eggs earlier. Same sort of thing there where you're going to feed the dream. Okay, Tuesday's a pretty pivotal day. We have the Death card in reverse. This is a really interesting metaphor here because we kind of see it's almost like a Russian doll where as you peel back a layer, there's something else, there's something else, there's something else. Very Day of the Dead sort of illustration here as well. So one thing that I would say for you is you could have a sort of reveal moment coming through where you thought something was done or over, but it wasn't. And it's a curveball that comes through where this could be unfinished business. So if there's unfinished business, you either get a chance, a second chance, or you're being sort of like asked to be accountable to make something work. So I see that surprise element with this. There's something being revealed. The veneer is coming back a little bit. The veil is coming back. For the rest of you, you might really feel like you're just tired of being stuck. And so this is the day to move, to unstick the situation. So decide what it is that you want to see the most movement on and move. If there's someone or something that just continues to put on the brakes in your life, this is the moment where you realize, aha, that's where I've been feeling. This is the source of my problems, of my issues. So revelation definitely coming through, a reveal, a big reveal. And if you feel stuck, don't get upset. Just realize, okay, that's what's doing it. What am I going to do about it? Hopefully, some of the planning that you did in Monday will help fuel the energy of Tuesday. So keep that in mind. All right. Midweek, we have the King of Swords, and he is reversed. So he is asking you to kind of like take more action. Because one thing that I don't always read it this way, but it's coming through in this particular illustration. Kings are often very passive cards, the most passive of all the court cards. They expect things to come to them. So when the card is reversed, the universe is saying, you know what? If you actually met something halfway, you could be surprised at the response, positive response, the speed that starts to pick up when you take that first step. I think I see a dragonfly as well. Yes, it is a dragonfly. So if I pull this close to the camera, you can see that cool little dragonfly around him. And we also see, looks like a fly at the bottom here as well. So the dragonfly is, to me, a really good symbol. The dragonfly shows that there is elevated thoughts will bring elevated situations around you. So be positive. King of Swords in reverse sometimes can be critical. If there is something critical, find a constructive nature to it, whether you're receiving it or giving it, because the King of Swords can be computing what's being given to him as well. But constructive criticism is important. Saying something that you need to say, it's embraced by this card. Just don't sort of like say too much. Less is more, and try to elevate that message. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. And I'm looking at the bones at the bottom too. So for many of you, it's kind of like getting to the bones of the matter. And we even see like peeling back that facade here. Underneath, we all are kind of like skeletons, and we're all flesh and bones. This outside may look different, but we're pretty much the same. If you can get to that similarity whenever it comes to a negotiation or a conversation, I think that's going to be really important. Okay. I really like what I see in Thursday. We have the Princess of Swords, Page of Swords. It's upright, and that is showing a lot of movement, a lot of growth when it comes to any sort of negotiations or situations. So it feels like you're starting to make progress. You're starting to have people tune into what you have to say. This is a really good day if you're trying to pitch an idea or to convey something that has been difficult for you to get across. All you have to really do is, if you've done the work here, because we're envisioning, we're getting past whatever's been stagnating, we're getting to the point, we're asking the tough questions. By the time Thursday rolls around, it feels like everything's planned out and it's a lot easier. Main thing with this particular card is that you're set up for success. You just have to keep an open eyes, open ears, open mind. And I think that you're going to see things start to shift in a positive trajectory. Strongest day for communication, bar none. It feels like you're getting stuff off of your head and your mind and your chest on Wednesday, but on Thursday, there's more back and forth. And if you need to send an email or pick up a phone and call someone, that's the day, because that's what pages do, basically, convey messages and information. All right, so as we look toward the end of the week, you're ending on a pretty positive note. The card is reversed, but let's take a look at it upright. We have the Two of Cups here. And this does mean that you're able to make a connection with someone, that you should be able to convey what's on your mind, and also that there's a good chance that they're open to it. It feels like something's missing on your side or the other, so there may be a request for a little bit more. The Two of Cups in reverse leaves you wanting or desiring things a little bit, right? So I think that if you can just sort of work, I think most of you are good at this, you wouldn't be here otherwise, but really lean into your empathy. And if the other person's having a hard time empathizing with you, take a moment to just make sure that they do hear what you have to say, because we don't want the Two of Cups reversed. We want it upright. It should feel good for both parties. So find that common ground, make sure that you're heard, make sure that you're listening to them. If something doesn't feel right, you don't have to say yes. This is also a card that just says, like, trust how you feel. And if it doesn't, if you get on an intuitive level that this isn't the right thing, trust that. If someone thinks they deserve something and they don't, make sure that they understand why that's an unrealistic expectation. This could be someone overstepping their bounds, and you'll know exactly what to do when that happens. All right, moving on to next weekend, and then we'll get into the blessings and blocks after this. We have the Queen of Cups coming through. She is reversed. The Queen of Cups also about prioritizing personal happiness. Something that when we were looking at, I looked at the impromptu and I looked at the New Year's sort of readings that I did, the forecasts. One theme that I saw was happiness being important, really choosing to be happy. So for some of you, it's just time to kind of like make that just as important as what you're doing in your career, what people think. Who cares about all that other stuff if you're not feeling good here and here? So emotional health and mental health needs to, it's a personal care day. Let's put it that way. Saturday is a day where just do whatever you need to emotionally decompress. Maybe that means treating yourself to an activity or to some sort of a treatment that you like. Again, maybe whether it's talking to a therapist or getting a spa treatment or just relaxing and reading a book. Do something for you and really take it easy. You are very sensitive and creative that day. So if you happen to be someone who is a writer or an artist, you could find that there's this sort of wealth of energy that's coming through. So lean into that if you want to. That creative and sensitive energy is going to be there for you. But I think that if you are in big groups or there's a lot going on, you'll need a little bit more time to decompress. You'll need a little bit of you time as well. So try to factor that in. We have a very positive Nine of Cups here a week from now, next Sunday. She was also reversed, but I'm not surprised. Most of your Cups cards were reversed today. So this is just basically about not going to either extreme, but also the power of positivity. When we just look at it in its upright form, like attracts like. So when you feel this sense of anything is possible, shooting for the stars, it really starts to bring people into your life. And just to kind of name someone here who exuded Nine of Cups. Betty White, who unfortunately just passed away, but we're happy that she's on the other side, and I'm sure things are happy there, and she's laughing on the other side as well. But she seemed very Nine of Cups upright. She had a positive attitude. She was very happy. She could always make you smile. A lot of jovial energy with the Nine of Cups. Sometimes with the Nine of Cups, there can be a happy clown, or a sad clown rather, where you're trying to overcompensate for sadness. So if you are sort of that sad clown. If you're a sad clown, then make sure that you're kind of going in and dealing with the emotional stuff. If you're just happy, good, have fun. This is a reminder that things can't always be amazing, and they can't always be, they're not always going to be really tough. So there is about that sort of energy of like being in the middle with this as well. But one thing that I really like with this is that potential to just sort of like see the sunny side of the street, and positivity equals longevity. And that's a great example with her, because she said that that was one of her defining characteristics. She just said, I try to keep a positive outlook. And you could see it. It showed. And she made it to 99, 2 weeks or 3 weeks away from being a centenarian. So that's a really cool energy. Okay, let's take a quick look at blessings and blocks, and then we'll move along to the elemental portion here. I'm going to use the Afro Goddess deck for this. So let's see what's coming through and I'll probably use it for the elements as well. All right, so for the blessings and the blocks, we'll start first with the blessings, something that you can embrace or look forward to. We have the Six of Wands, also reversed, but beautiful illustration here. I like that this Six of Wands is kind of like keeping a bird's eye view, not getting caught up in the gossip, all of the sort of opinions that are often a part of the Six of Wands. Ultimately, this is the key to success. So don't let pressure get into your headspace. Don't let other people's projections of what you should or shouldn't do impede with what you know you need to do. And don't do something simply because you feel like it's going to be popular. Do it because it's right. The cool thing with the Six of Wands is success is yours to have, but do it like, make sure that you're being authentic and getting what you want the way that you want it. Okay. So the blessing here is success. The sort of flip side of that is that there can be more pressure, more visibility with the success. There could be this sort of pressure. A lot of times you see this with musicians, like on their sophomore effort, to try to like put that lightning in a bottle again. And it's not so much about recapturing that lightning. It's about being the conduit. So to quote another pop culture reference, I just rewatched Witcher season 1 and then saw the second season. But in the first season, you see one of the mages trying to capture lightning. And instead, she kind of absorbs it and then she can channel it. So she's actually a conduit. It's not about capturing lightning. It's about being the lightning. And I think that if you kind of think of it from that perspective, you can always create something else. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be the same thing twice. It just has to be an evolution of you. All right. Let's take a look at the block. Okay, so we have the World card reversed. I feel like some of you are just overwhelmed by the change that's coming through and wondering, can I do this? Again, this can sometimes feel like when you, just before you're ready to do something big, an announcement, for instance, there can be this moment where you think, oh, can I do this? How much work is this going to take? It's easier where I'm at. And the World card is saying it might be easier, but look what's on the other side. Look what's waiting for you. Some of you are at a point where you're easing into the sort of new, not just the new year, but maybe some sort of new change. You've already made that shift. And it's really about maybe looking over your shoulder and thinking, did I make the right choice? Should I have done this instead? This card is just saying the world has your back. Just trust in yourself and keep moving and keep expanding. Ends and beginnings, my friend. That's what the World card is all about. This world is, I mean, the earth itself is constantly in a state of reinvention. From the time that it was Pangea to the time that it split apart to the time that it's going to go back together, all of the volcanic activity, geothermic activity, all the weather, like nothing on the planet stays the same. Even the earth changes radically over millions and millions of years. But change is necessary. And so don't block yourself from taking the change that you need to take, or making the change that you need to make. But there could be, by the way, some sort of a move, some sort of a big shift on the horizon. And there's just an internal question, which I kind of posited earlier, are you ready? Do you want this? That was those exact words, are you ready, is something that I put in my book several times because I think the universe is constantly asking us, are you ready? Right? Okay, let's go ahead now. Now, this is the portion that is sign specific. We're going to look at fire, earth, air, and water, and we'll do a card at a time. So let's see what's coming through here. I'll pull all the cards and show them as I'm pulling them, and then I'll break it down. All right, so the message for fire, which is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, is strength. Strength reversed. She keeps coming through reversed. Don't worry, I'm going to go deeper into each of these in a second. We're going to look at earth next. So Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. We have the 8 of Swords, finding clarity. I'll help you with that as well. Looking at air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Let's see where you're at. Oh, you got 2. That's okay. We'll honor it. So it's the end of something kind of being stagnating here. So we have the Hanged Man in reverse and the King of Cups here. So I'll talk about that. You're the only one that kind of got 2. That's cool. And for water, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Again, just giving you a preview, and then we'll go deeper into each of these. So my water is great. 2 of Wands. You're very much in alignment with what we're talking about today. All right, let's dig deeper into each of these messages for the next 7 days. Again, starting with fire, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Leo, you actually kind of showed up in here. We have the strength card. I just did a reading yesterday where she showed up reversed. And I don't know, I think it was like the first card that I pulled. Maybe, I can't remember if it was because I've done 2 in a row, either on the first or the second. But she's been coming up a lot and she's been reversed a lot. So for all my fire signs out there, I think the most important thing for you, first and foremost, is to take care of yourself. I love that we see both of them taking a nap, and get some sleep here. It's actually a good way to ring in the new year. For many of you, it still is Sunday, so make sure tonight you go to bed on time, and maybe take a moment to think about something in your life that you want to improve when it comes to your general health and well-being. The other thing, of course, with this is a decision that you don't have to prove that you're right to everyone. A lot of times with the strength card, there's that feeling like I have to make you say this or do this or understand this. We can't control everyone in our lives. It's who wants to anyway. So if someone's making bad decisions or isn't listening or is just outright stubborn, you focus on you. You take care of you. Rest up. Focus on just living your best life. And when and or if, and that if is a big piece of it, if someone's ready to come to you, then they'll come to you. Otherwise, it's not worth your time and energy. You have too much strength to kind of put into other things. So put that strength into other things. So basically, when the card is reversed, prioritizing personal health, not trying to control others, not letting others control you, and focusing on controlling and manifesting what you can actually see some progress in, and letting the rest of the stuff fall aside. There could also be, for those of you that aren't Leos, a strong Leo coming into you. For all my Leos out there, you just really need to put yourself first right now. So I think that this is a really great card. I love strength. Divine feminine energy coming through with this. One last thing that I always like with this card is that no matter how insurmountable an odd may seem for you, the odds may seem, I should say, you can overcome it. Because the card makes me laugh. Like, who in their right mind would stick their hand in the mouth of a beast, whether it's a lion or a tiger or an alligator? I've seen all kinds of different things on the cards. It's symbolic, but it's saying basically, if you're willing to go there, you can do it, and you're going to be able to surprise people with your own strength. Okay? Okay. So again, that was Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Moving on from fire to earth, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. For many of you, this is a wake-up sort of month. There's some stuff going on here with the 8 of Swords. It's never as bad as it seems, but there's often sort of a question of, how did I get here and what do I do next? So for you, when we go to the energy around Monday with the 2 of Wands, this is the day where I feel many of you are going to focus on unraveling that. Because basically, with the 8 of Wands, there's always a way out of these swords. I'm sorry, the 8 of Swords. There's always a way out of the 8 of Swords. She just has to kind of like walk forward or walk backward. But it feels, because of the blindfolds, that like this is it. So limiting your thoughts, limiting your vision, limiting yourself is something that you want to step away from. So expansive and positive thoughts are going to be so important for all of you this week. So I think, and it's a very grounded approach. It makes sense. So Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, I want you to stay grounded, and I want you to really focus on thinking about, I can do this. I just have to kind of like understand what's going on. Take the blinders off and ask the tough questions, okay? It's going to be okay. If you're going to get a swords card, this one's all right. Two of swords and eight of swords are a little bit more benign. It's usually just a feeling of not having the information that you need. So one very positive way to frame up eight of swords is having some comfort with ambiguity. Sometimes we don't get to see everything. We don't get the Cliff's Notes version of something. We have to we don't know the ending before it begins. So if you can just trust that I'll figure it out as I go, I think that's going to be the biggest key to your success this week, okay? So again, that was for Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. We're going to move on to air, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. You got two. So some special messages for you. The first one was Hanged Man reversed. We don't want to rush something, a message that I talked about a little bit earlier. And I think that if you just trust that you're in the right place at the right time, that you didn't lose an opportunity, that you didn't waste time, you called all of this into existence for some reason, you're not going to beat yourself up and feel like, I got to catch up, okay? I see a breakthrough moment for many of you, and it could be just this feeling of, like, it could be joy, it could be happiness, it could be a person coming into your life. If you've been waiting for someone, I read some of the comments in the New Year's live that I did. A lot of people are trying to manifest partnerships. This is good news when it comes to that. But ultimately, I just see you having this same sort of energy that we were seeing. What was it? Around the end, around Saturday of next week. A lot of creativity, a lot of sensitivity. And so for some of you, you may just feel a lot of your impatience and your sensitivity together is making you sort of feel this anxiety that you don't need. These two together can be very similar to the one that we just saw. So be patient, trust your heart. With the King of Cups in reverse, just like the High Priestess reverse, sometimes you're not listening to yourself. So listen to your heart, and it will not lead you astray. That's the most important thing in this moment in time, is just to trust what your heart is telling you, okay? It is a good week for you, though, emotionally speaking, to kind of step into something new and to prioritize relationships and happiness, of course. Okay, let's go ahead now and take a look at water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. The world is your oyster. What a lovely illustration for you. Ostensibly one of the best cards here that has been pulled. The main thing here, though, is you have to open up to the possibilities. So I don't really eat shellfish, but I like to watch people cooking stuff like that. And I know that you have to heat like clams and oysters and anything in that to kind of release it. And even then you have to kind of like, sometimes opening it up or shucking it is a little bit hard. So for many of you, you may have that pearl of wisdom, you may have that idea, but there's a little bit of work that has to be done this week. So don't give up. Keep pushing, because it's worth that opening, right? It's worth that discovery. So I think the main thing for you is to stay clear to your vision. And even if it's just a little difficult, or especially if it's a little difficult, don't give up now. Why give up now? This is something that's really worth your time and effort, I think. Okay. So overall, I like what I'm seeing. The common themes, if I look across all of them, because we have different placements, it's just to focus on your physical and mental well-being, to have some comfort with ambiguity, to be patient and listen to your heart, and to do that extra work, go the extra mile. It's worth the effort. At the end of the day, you're going to be happy that you did it. So all of us can benefit from the kind of like the messages put together. That sort of composite message, I think, is going to be good for all of us. Okay. Let's look at one question that you can vote on, and then we'll move along to the portion that we've all wanted, the special topic for today. So let me grab my keyboard real quick. And as I look at all of these tasks, or all of these cards in front of me, I want to help some of you that got the trickier cards here. Specifically, I'm going to home in on what's going in with some of these signs here. So let me just grab my glasses here. If you're watching live, you can vote on if you're watching mobile or on a desktop. Consoles probably cannot vote. All right, so viewers' choice. Let's take a look here. We're going to start with the Eight of Swords card, which came through. I want to see how you can, how to be comfortable. I'm just going to say comfort with ambiguity. because sometimes we don't get to see all of those little pieces. So how can you be comfortable when you don't know everything? The other thing here is patience, uh, with patience and progress. See if there's a message around both of them, because that's what the Hanged Man was kind of showing. So patience and progress. And then the other thing that I want to look at here is with the Two of Wands, having the going the extra mile. What is it to kind of like going the extra mile to manifest? Because when you're so close to that manifestation, what can you do to really make it happen? All right, so I'm going to let you vote on that here now. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull one last card as a sort of like message from Spirit. So we'll see what Spirit has to say while all of you vote on these potential topics. Okay, 2 came through, so I'll honor these. They're great cards. The first one is the 9 of Pentacles here. 9 of Pentacles, what a gorgeous 9 of Pentacles, by the way. I haven't pulled every card out of this deck yet, and this is a new one for me. So we have this beautiful energy of independence, of prosperity. So I honestly do think this year is going to be much better in comparison to 2020 and 2021. We do see growth. We do see this sort of self-sustaining energy. So if you've been feeling like you've had to rely on a lot of other people, or you've lost some of that power, I feel like you can do it. You will do it. And I really love sort of like, it looks like she even has like an anchor tattoo or some sort of an anchor around her throat chakra. So I feel like many of you are really going to make something happen in a pivotal way, and you've got the staying power. That's what I see with the anchor, right? The other message here is we've got the King of Swords here coming through, and he's saying, please stand up for yourself. Please say what you need to say. It's a really good time for you to communicate and use that communication. Words are power. I've had that as one of the things that we can focus on for a topic, but it hasn't made it. And one of them was words are power. What should I do with them? He's saying, just make sure that you're using your voice, right? I think it's going to be so important. So that's awesome. All right, let's see what's winning here. We've got about 44% with going that extra mile to manifest. I'll wait for it to finalize to make sure that it's okay, and we'll see where it's taken us. So 1 second here while you're doing that. All right. Okay, it won by a large margin here, 43%. Okay. So looking at basically going that extra mile and manifesting, we have 2 things here. This is vitality as much as it is keeping true to the original vision. So whereas Ace of Swords can be action and communication, the Ace of Wands can be the idea and also sort of how much you're embodying it. There's a physicality to the Wands cards, an embodiment to the Wands cards that you don't necessarily see with the Swords. Swords is about bringing it into action. So I want you to focus on mind, body, and spirit, really believing whatever it is that you want to see come into fruition. And starting to really kind of like, without a shadow of a doubt, imagine that this is happening. Know also that things are being offered up to you. How receptive are you to receive it? So you can say, I'm ready to receive it, but what would happen right now if someone sent you a text or an email or knocked on the door and said, what you want is here? What would you do? Would you be ready? Are you truly ready? And that's really what this card is kind of asking. So the more ready that you are, the better. And I think also keeping a clear and open mental channel is going to be important. So if there's any kind of activities that you can do that help foster imagination, dreams, and creativity, by all means do that. Okay. And, I was saying like not to watch TV or something. It's fine if you want to do that, just not in mass. I want you to also use your own imagination. I mentioned just like some pop culture references. I think it's important for us to read books and see movies, but what else are you going to do with your creativity? Painting, writing, doing something out in the yard if the weather's, good. I know in the Southern Hemisphere it's warmer. Just doing something with your hands and bringing this also into kind of like physicality will help too. But that's it. Do you believe it, and are you ready? Because again, the universe is kind of asking that again and again. All right. So really good messages so far. I've gotten some great vibes off the first week of January. I hope that all of you are feeling it too. So let's make it a great year. Let's make it a great month. Let's make it a great week. All right, let's take a look here. I'm going to let you vote on some potential decks that I can use here for the main reading. I always like to throw Afro Goddess into the mix here, so give me a second here. All right, so here are the decks. Which decks? Which deck should I use? You saw me using that one, so we could do Afro Goddess, Tarot Arcana. We can also do, let's see, Modern Witch. Beautiful illustration as well. So we'll do Modern Witch. Let's add another one here to the connection. We can do Field Tarot as well. And what else can we do that we haven't done in a while? I'll pull this one too, because this one's kind of beautiful. So Tarot of the Divine, trying to pull some different ones into the mix. Tarot of the Divine. Right, so while you're thinking about it, I'll show you a couple cards again. So again, this is the Afro Goddess one. It's all the big cards that I've been using. This is the Modern Witch Tarot. Beautiful, kind of traditional Rider-Waite-Smith with updated paintings on it, so it's nice as well. This one's a little bit more out there. This is the Field Tarot, so more symbolic in its imagery, a little bit more illustrated. And then we have Tarot of the Divine, which kind of is modern fairy tales retold. Really cool color palette, really cool illustrations. And I don't care which one you choose because they're all amazing. So I'm going to take a drink of water while you're doing that. And let's see which one you choose. All right. So let's see which one's in the lead. We have a really clear winner that it's the Tarot of the Divine by leaps and yards over the other one. So thank you so much. All right. I do love this deck. I think it's beautiful. So you made a great choice. I'm not going to pick any deck that isn't going to be a good experience for us. I just like to let you have a choice in the matter because I think it's kind of fun. All right. This is the only portion where I'm going to pull the camera down so you can see it because it takes a lot. So give me a second. All right, give me a second to get everything set up here. Don't worry if you couldn't see everything. I just try to let you kind of understand where it's all coming from. All right, so here we go. We're going to begin with your catalyst, just to refocus here on what we're looking at. So this is the special topic portion where we're looking at the new year, the new moon, and also kind of like the new opportunities. So when you voted on this, the final question was like, where do I focus? What do I do? So this is hopefully bringing that sense of clarity into the picture on what it is that you should be putting your time and energy into. Okay. All right. So we have right here openness. And what a great card to kick it off. This is in the catalyst position. So this is saying, and this is Lord Ganesha, by the way, which will help you overcome any obstacles. We have Ganesha sitting on a crescent moon, so showing something happening in the near future, ostensibly a waxing crescent, right? So if you stay open to what's going on, you're more likely than not going to be able to kind of see things that you wouldn't otherwise. So really keep an open mind, keep an open heart, and that's going to help you clarify, right? So openness is key. Wonderful beginning. Let's go into the center here. So for many of you, there's an encouragement here to not fight battles that aren't worth fighting. We have the Five of Swords, which is oftentimes something that we can't control, or we can't see the necessary progress that we want to see happen on. So I think for many of you, this is a decision like, this person doesn't listen to me, they're not open, or I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and this isn't kind of getting where I need it to be. This is an understanding that you can do better than that. You probably should focus on something different, and it's allowing you to kind of like shift your overall energy. So don't give your energy to people that don't deserve it. Don't focus on things where you're not getting some sort of a return on the investment. Okay. Let's see here. What I do like in the background is I see something that looks like it could be a phoenix, or it's a solar deity in the very, very background. If we look really closely there, there's a little bird here that's kind of flying up. And I think that's the important thing here, is to go higher, to elevate the conversation more than maybe more than the person that's in front of you. A lot of times we have to show kind of energy that other people don't have. So trust that you can do that. We have the Queen of Swords. Lots of Queen and Kings of Swords are coming through a lot. So using your voice, super important. So she's stepping through. This is a really interesting illustration. You see a warrior Queen of Swords here. And because she's crossing the center, so this is going to a place that you don't need to go. And this is someone who have you ever noticed that a soldier or someone that's been into battle is less likely to use brutal force because they know the consequences? So one thing that we're seeing with this particular illustration is, I could say this, I could do this, because it can be both words and actions, but is it worth it? And so she weighs her words very wisely, and she uses them when she needs to, but she doesn't use them unnecessarily. She will also stand up to injustice, because Queen of Swords is connected to law and what's right. So just as much as having justice at the center. So say what you need to say, right or wrong. If someone is doing something wrong, call it out. But ultimately, with the Five of Swords, there's always going to be a person in your life that just doesn't want to hear, right, what you have to say. And I've learned that the older that I get, it's just not worth it. Like, we don't know how much life we have on this planet. Why would I waste it on someone that isn't open to it? And so focus on reaching the people that want to be reached, and saying things that lift things up rather than kind of push things down. We have the Queen of Cups upright here. So again, focusing on prioritizing your happiness. I love that she's a mermaid. One thing that I, depending on which card, I think the Page is actually, and the Fool card. Maybe it's the Fool card because that's the Little Mermaid. But with all of these sort of aquatic sort of references here, you can be in both earth and land with a mermaid, because they can sit up on the rocks or on the beach. So you're going to have to ground your passion and your ideas in something tangible. So take the intangible and find a way to kind of make it tangible and make it real. And this is also what I've been talking about: staying grounded, staying realistic, still kind of dreaming. You're going to have to walk the two together. Successful people know just how to kind of dance that dance between saying something that's way out there, but also making it something that you think could be possible. Business people have a really good ability to do this. Sales people have a great ability to do this. So focus on believing in yourself and pushing that out there, and then finding some tangible ways to make it happen. All right, Seven of Wands, competition. We have the Seven of Wands in reverse. With this Seven of Wands, I'm just looking at it here. He's also kind of like, it's kind of like he's laying down a new railroad track or something here. I would say the important thing for you is to take things one step at a time. there is success with the Seven of Wands. If we just follow it in suit, like you've already learned the lessons of the Six of Wands, and you're on your way to the abundance and the activity that comes through with the Eight of Wands. This is the sort of growing pains. So in order to get to the next level, there's some growing pains, and where you could stumble is trying to take on an unnecessary burden, too much. So by pushing back, by delegating, by saying no, by doing less but doing it better, you'll succeed, because just because you can do everything doesn't mean that you should do everything, right? And I think that's going to be really, really important. The other thing here that's coming through, it's not in this illustration, but the traditional Rider-Waite, is to not feel like you have to go on the defensive. A traditional illustration, the figure in the Seven of Wands will hold the wand this way, and there's a lot of other energy that way. It's sort of like I can push you back, I can hold this back. So I think that for some of you, say what you need to say, do what you need to do, and if people agree, they agree, and if they don't, they don't. They're entitled to their opinion, and you don't have to give that sort of disagreement too much energy. This is really important when it comes to social media, because everybody has a comment. Everybody's an expert, right? So if somebody comments on something that you say or do, just take a deep breath and think, is it worth it, right? And if you're doing what's right, as I've said a few times here, it's oftentimes not going to be popular, but the lens of history may prove that it was right. So what's right isn't always what's popular, and the cards are kind of pushing you to do what's right in order to make this next step happen. An example of this could be you have something that people think is perfect, but for you it doesn't feel right. It could be a job, could be a relationship, could be that you're spending too much on your house or something, and you know that you need to move or downsize or leave that job or leave that relationship so that you can free up your resources, so that you can do something else, so that you can do something better. That's right for you. Other people may look and think, well, I wanted what you had, so why are you letting go of something I want? It's a projection. They're just trying to, like, they're looking at it from their own sort of set of eyes. So when you look at it from your set of eyes and your heart, then you think, yeah, I get what you're saying. But for me, I'm not looking for the same thing as you're looking for. And that's why it's okay. And so you don't have to go into all of that. You just have to feel it and think, all right, we're good. I don't have to explain myself. It's an option. You don't have to do it all the time. All right, so the next piece here is the Page of Cups. So we have the Page of Cups, upright position, headspace, crowning position here. So for many of you, this optimism, it's infectious. It's a very good thing. You want to continue with that optimism. I think that one interesting thing here, I'm looking at the little hare, the little rabbit with the this little string around his leg here. So for many of you, I don't want you to kind of like get tripped up as things start to happen. Your emotions could kind of like trip you up in a positive way and in a not so positive way. So you really want to be focusing on staying balanced throughout whatever it is that you're working on. So don't let your don't let your emotions cloud your vision, I guess is what we're saying here. So meditation is a good way to make sure that doesn't get in the way, and also just sort of saying what's on your mind so that it doesn't kind of like a pressure cooker build up to the point that you have to release that. But ultimately, this is good. Page of Cups, crowning position. Again, there's this sort of question coming through. Are you ready to receive? Because it looks like the universe is ready to give you some of what you're looking for. So I like what I see with that. Movement is necessary. So one of the things that I think in order to create change or to focus on what's happening here, you're being kind of pushed to move on, to kind of like physically just start some action. Also, some of the things that are kind of grabbing your attention, like what to focus on, it's what's beyond what's around you. And I've been talking about this for several readings in a row here, looking beyond your borders, looking beyond the obvious. Six of Swords, much like the World card, can be about reaching distant shores. So if you're a business, if you own a business, or if you're working hard to get something out there, or if you're an artist, this is about maybe getting success overseas or in another country or another state. So distance plays an important piece, and moving or movement plays an important piece. Got to shake something up. The stagnation isn't really going to work for this, okay? I think that's important to remember. But I do see positive movement as well. And when we kind of combine the Seven of Wands and the Six of Swords, then I see that you could actually be just reaching a larger audience, which is great. Okay, let's take a look now what's going on in your ego position, you as a person. We have the Nine of Wands, so don't give up. The Nine of Wands in reverse, which is really about focusing on making sure that if you're at that very last leg of the journey, that that moment in time you don't feel like, I just ran out of steam, or why am I doing this? See something through to fruition, and don't let somebody push you out of line, especially if you've earned your sort of moment in the light. So work hard, push to the finish line, and don't be afraid to kind of be a little bit pushier when it comes to being heard or being seen. And this illustration also reminds me of The Witcher here, because there's a hut just like this. One thing that I would look at is just making sure that somebody doesn't try to kind of like pull the wool over your eyes too with something like that. So I would say if you've come this far, trust that you've been working and doing the right thing, and just see it through to fruition. So important. You're nearly there. This is an almost graduated card, but what can get in the way is your own head sometimes. By the way, speaking of this, you normally see it not so much in this one, but you would normally see a Band-Aid on their forehead. And I would say when this is happening, sometimes keeping your focus is going to be important, but also you may just have a lot of stress going on in your life. So finding a way to just really kind of relax is going to be key, and just sort of like let things through. So I see some comments here. Hopefully someone said it's blurry. As long as you can hear me, it'll be okay. Sometimes the connections come and go. So keep me posted, but unless I see a lot of comments, I'm not going to worry. It's usually just one person's connection. And by the way, yeah, as Maria Margarita said, when I hold a camera up, or when I hold a card up to the camera, it's supposed to be in focus, and then I blur out. That's just how cameras work. I know I have a different setup than usual, but anyway, focus on making sure that your mental health, your anything that's going on. By the way, standard disclaimers when we're talking about health. If you have migraine or headaches, make sure you talk to a doctor. It could be dehydration. It could be something more. You want to make sure that you're okay. All right, let's move on to what's going on around you. I think it's important to do what's right. It always is, but we have justice reversed. You have permission to say no, to step away from something. And if you've been wronged, this is about making sure that you have a chance to be righted and kind of fight for what's right. So this is basically standing around and saying no if you need to. If someone's doing something wrong, though, this is an important thing for you to seek that legal advice that you need. Stop it and make sure that people aren't doing that, because it's not okay in the long run. And you're going to be able to sort of find balance. This is also just about a lack of balance. So just as much as the Two of Pentacles would be the same thing, this is basically saying, I need you to kind of like focus on, if there's something where you're giving too much to someone or focusing too much on something, that you are basically getting a return on that. Okay. So there you go. All right. And yeah, for anyone that is still having some issues, just refresh. You can just kind of like refresh the screen, or reset your router. Usually that's it, because most people are saying it's okay. So for those of you watching on a cell phone or a different connection, it happens. Just close out and come right back. It'll be okay. Okay. Looking at, well, one last thing before we move on. Again, focusing on the importance of knowing the difference between right and wrong. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. So when you're looking at just being discerning, because one of the pieces of that overarching question was, what should I focus on? If it doesn't feel right, you know more than anyone else will if it's right for you or if it's wrong for you. So that's what matters. Do what feels right. Okay. All right. So we have the Four of Swords in reverse, in hopes, fears, and opportunities. With this particular card, what we see is that in order for you to see things come into fruition, rest is important. The other thing is that some of you may be working yourself so far, so fast. Again, that lack of focus, that lack of concentration is there. You may also want things to immediately be better, but this shows that, like, when you let go of something in your life, you kind of need to just let time heal it. Everything heals with time. You do have two cards of death and transformation with this. So we see this usually involves physically moving, and this involves the healing that happens after that physical movement. So for some of you, there's just a need for you to basically let time work things out. If you've just moved, if you've just broken up, if you've just started something new, as I was saying earlier, it takes time. Adjusting takes time. Coming out of your hermit phase is going to be ever so important. And actually, if I could go back to that Afro Goddess card, if I can find it, with the oyster, I really like that. I feel like this has a connection to it. Let's see. Yeah, this card. All right, so these two cards to me share a lot in common here, because we're looking at basically someone who's hiding, and then we see that pearl of wisdom, or that really inner beauty that's coming through. Let people see what you have to show, what you have to share with the world. The world is your oyster, but if you hide it, it's not going to be seen. And ironically, as I was doing that, the world card also popped back out. So we were looking at the world being your oyster, and then the world fell on the floor. And I was like, what card just fell? So yeah, focusing on that is going to be really important. Okay. All right. So let's move into the expanded forecast. This is where we look at health, wealth, love, and destiny through the lens of change, through the lens of prioritization, because that was a special topic. And yeah, if you like what you see here, please hit the like button and subscribe. By the way, subscribing is free. I don't know why YouTube called it subscribe instead of follow. It's basically following. You don't have to pay anything, and you're not going to really get anything. It just is a way to make sure that when you go to your home screen, you see my stuff as well as everyone else's. So if you could hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot. All right, let's move on to the health card and the expanded forecast. We have Earth Angel here. I need my glasses to read the lower portion. It says, thank you for inspiring me to be more like you. This is really about grounding yourself once more. So it's interesting when we kind of look at the two different ends here. The catalyst, which is what gets the action happening, was Lord Ganesha, which is all about opening up. And then, much like I was talking about with the mermaid, the next piece for you is to really focus on, how am I going to bring some grounding into this? Earth Angel energy, whenever we see a card like that, it's reminding many of you that you've worked many lifetimes on your soul to get where you're at. So you have that heightened energy that we would see in the angelic realm. And so here on Earth, sometimes it feels like we're out of place because there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of movement. So the sensitivity piece is definitely ringing loud and clear with the Earth Angel card. So do what you can to not let all of the sort of chaotic things in the world define what you're feeling today. If you want to take action towards one of them, that's fine. One thing at a time, but your sensitivity could kind of like get in the way of you being able to manifest. So focus on grounding yourself and loving yourself, and not trying to heal everything in the world at the same time. There's a lot of us on this planet. Each one of us can take one step towards that and make it a better place. You don't have to do everything. 7 of Wands energy coming through with that as well. Okay. So let's take a look at the next one, and let's see. A couple of messages here with health. So we want to look at healthy attitudes. If there's anything going on in your headspace where, again, you feel like, I can't win, that person isn't worth my time and energy, please focus on that. It's taking away from your ability to be productive. And also remember, if you're going to say something, to elevate the words here. Some of you are just overdoing it. This card can also be a health card when it's kind of like assigned to working out. So if you've just started a physical workout routine, the 7 of Wands is sometimes when we try to lift too much weights, or we're jogging too much, or dieting too much, or going to too much of an extreme. Everything in moderation. Make sure it's something that you can keep up with, okay? Because if it is too much, it's going to be difficult for you to, your body might take a kind of half step backwards, and you don't want that to happen. Okay. And definitely getting a little bit more sleep is important. And for some of you, there could also be a need to just get some me time, some privacy, some sort of time just to meditate, go out into nature, for instance. All of those things are coming through with health. More sort of like peace of mind, but definitely some general sort of health notes. And the one thing that I would say here too with the 9 of Wands is to focus on your mental health and any sort of headaches or migraines, obviously going to a doctor if any of that's happening. Okay. Overall, pretty good. There was nothing massively important that's getting in the way of this. It's just really about holding your ground, staying balanced, doing what's right. All right, wealth. This is important as we move into the wealth card, because this is the opportunity part of that. New moon, new year, new opportunity. What should you focus on? So let's see what the overarching message is for opportunities here. We have the Miriam. It says sacred vision, Choose to forgive in order to heal. See the light in all. Remember that love has no boundaries. So really focusing on what's positive. And when we see the sacred vision here, your vision in and of itself is also sacred, whatever it is that you're trying to create. We have all these Easter lilies on top of that too, showing that April could be the time when a lot of this comes to fruition. Um, Even when something comes through and you feel like this should have happened in a different way, why isn't this happening the way I thought it? There's a blessing in everything. So in delays, in surprises, and all of these things, there are blessings. So when you start to have that, like we saw the Nine of Cups when we talked about Betty White, when you start to see that everything could have a purpose or a reason, I think that's going to be important. Okay, so let's look specifically at wealth and things that we could be focusing on when it comes to helping you decide what to do. I think the biggest blessing that you got in this whole spread was, if it's right, do it. If it's wrong, don't do it. Don't give in to peer pressure. Doesn't matter what the cost. It feels like it's important to stand up to peer pressure. I think the other thing for many of you is you're just deciding, I don't want this. No. Using the word no. No, not now, or this isn't right. Standing up for what's right. This is the year when you're also being asked to kind of like be bolder. And so part of the necessary piece for success is to really kind of take a bolder approach or a bolder step forward to really kind of let people see the inner star energy that's always a part of the hermit. It's missing in this card. But just like in my book, when I had the character Rigel and some other sort of celestial beings, I just imagined that there would be this beautiful radiant light if you took the robe off. Same sort of thing here. It's just a question of, are you afraid of the visibility, the criticism, the accountability that comes with being more visible? Whatever it is, hopefully it won't hold you back from what's possible. You know, we don't have a lot of pentacles in this spread, right? Do we have any? We don't. Let's do a clarifying card right now. So let me just pull a card and see what's going on. Why no pentacles? Okay, Knight of Pentacles, question answered. Okay, so the card was reversed, but when the Knight of Pentacles is reversed, there's often this question of, am I ready for this investment? Do I have something else that I want to put my time and energy into? This goes back to what I was actually asking way back at the beginning, which was sort of like, what do you want and how much are you ready for it? Are you really truly ready for it? You have to believe in something before it can happen. And the other thing was, people want to know where you stand. So where do you stand? Do you believe in it? And are you ready? All of those things are coming through again. There could also be something offered to you that doesn't feel like it's what you want. So again, trust in your vision and say no if you need to. All right, let's look at relationships and see how relationships might play a key part. There are actually two cards that came through on this. So we'll look at this really quickly. So the first one was the Akashic Stargate. It said, aligned with purpose, crossroads, no wrong path. This is actually quite a good card, like, because you can go to 2 or 3 different readers and get different approaches because they're going to be reading the different opportunities in front of you sometimes. You are the one that has to walk through one of those portals. So it's kind of like the 7 of Cups. The universe is asking you, what do you want? And when you are aligned with your purpose, there isn't a wrong path. There are just different timings and different experiences that come through it, right? And the other thing here that I would say is we have the halls of Amenti initiation. It says secrets revealed, treasures uncovered, initiations. The card was reversed. So some of you may be a little bit unprepared or not quite ready for the next step in this. So this could be, all right, I want to go to school, but I'm really freaked out with the application process. Like I was talking about earlier, I like a new job, but I don't want to look at the CV. I like to move, but it's going to take a lot to pack there's this sort of intermediate step that's freaking you out. So we need you to kind of like hop over that intermediate step and look more at the outcome and say, but the outcome's worth it. I'm just going to push through this. I'm going to ask for help on this one, right? So I think that's going to be really important here. And how does this connect to love and relationships? Well, first of all, you have a lot of paths in front of you. I feel like getting closer to the path is what is important here. It says aligning with purpose. The sooner you align with purpose, the sooner the kind of people that you're wanting to find will start to kind of connect with you. The other one here is you shouldn't have to be quote unquote initiated. This is kind of like the antithesis to rushing a sorority or fraternity. So this is saying, I don't have to prove myself. I know who I am. If someone truly wants what I have to offer, or if it's the right match, I don't have to go and like jump, head over heels and prove myself, because that is sophomoric, right? That's not something that you have to do. So know yourself enough to not have to explain yourself, to not have to prove yourself. That's actually the message around relationships. Can love come in? Absolutely. Can relationships play a key part? Absolutely, because the Page of Cups is in the crowning position. They can also hold us back or trip us up. So you want to make sure you've got your head on straight here. I feel that if love is coming into your life this month, it's from afar, or there could be travel could play a big part in it. Let me quickly break it down. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is a bigger topic, but existing relationships, the number one trigger could be open communication and making sure that no one's sort of having a high horse. We want to take the high road, but not have a high horse. So making sure that there is that open communication. Distance could also play a big part in this, where partner's traveling or is working a lot. I feel like many of you are on the precipice of moving on. This partnership could also be like a work partnership where you're just thinking, this doesn't suit me anymore. So if things are kind of unraveling, it'll be okay, because you're going to be able to discover yourself and pieces of yourself that you forgot about. If you want to work it out, I think the important thing is there is a little bit of space that's needed. So giving one another time and space to cool off and to collect thoughts. And communication overall is the most important thing, just making sure that it flows. If you're not looking for love right now, good for you, because I feel like you're really close to finishing something that's important to you. I feel like you're on this sort of precipice of a breakout moment. When we were looking specifically at the career cards, it looked like this could be coming through as soon as April, right around the corner. We have a bullish sort of energy with this card that came through as well. So I do feel like financials and personal affairs are on this sort of positive trajectory. So a lot of good stuff. And it feels like you just might be happy. So if you're happy, you don't need someone else in there to kind of like make you complete. You're complete in and of yourself. That's why I always like to say that silly line from Jerry Maguire was silly. You complete me. Well, you're in trouble, buddy, because you should already be complete. This person compliments you. And makes maybe your life feel better and adds a new level of sort of radiance to it, but shouldn't complete the life. So you are complete. That's the message that comes through, with or without somebody. And that's going to help you as the sort of keystone or cornerstone to any relationship. If you're leaning too much into that other person, lean into yourself first. Okay. All right. Final card here. This is your destiny. We have dedication. And we have someone here really kind of looking scary, but I like the title here for this particular god, Akat, I guess. So we have dedication. And if you have to sort of like put on a show or really sort of stand your ground, this card is showing you that you can do it. So don't be afraid. Don't let anyone push you, block you, or make you feel like you can't do it. And sometimes we just really have to show up and show strength, just like we got way back at the beginning with that strength card when I was looking in the elements, I think. So you've got what it takes, and I feel really good about that. Let's pull one card to help with the overall prioritization, and then I feel like we're pretty much wrapped up here. So one overarching card to help us focus on you know what? I'll pull one for each here. So we're going to do one for the new moon. Then we'll do one for opportunities, and then we'll do one for like figuring out what to focus on. So, all right. So one for the new moon. So for the new moon, we have the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So this is saying what you're looking for is closer than you think, but you do need to invest in it just as much as you expect for something to come into you. So invest in yourself. Focus on that right here and right now. Okay. And, someone just asked, what about those who are looking for love? I already covered that. And I would say it's part of I said, if you're looking for it, it could come from someone that's in a distance, but this is also kind of answering that. What about you? Focus on yourself in this moment in time, because what you can be focusing on for whether it's a partnership or a job is this simple. I am ready to receive love and abundance in the highest forms. I am open to hear, see, and pick up on signs, signals, and synchronicities that will help me manifest that which I seek. I am not so attached to that manifestation that I don't believe that that defines me. I'm just open to seeing it, and I'm open to seeing it even sooner than I thought. And I'm open to being surprised by something better than what I thought I could get. That was me making up a sort of like manifestation mantra on the fly. I always like to be surprised by what I couldn't receive. I never want to believe that I can't receive it. I always want to say, yeah, let's see if we can do even better. In fact, not in a sort of needy or greedy way. It's sort of like, well, I achieved that. Let's try this. That's how you set goals. That's how athletes get stronger. That's how business people get to the next level. So are you ready? Because the universe certainly is ready to invest in you. It is an egg or a coin or a seed, though, and that is the beginning of something more. You have to invest, you have to incubate, you have to nurture all of those respective things in order for them to grow. They can all grow. Even money can grow, depending on how you invest it. So are you invested in yourself? Are you investing in what you want? Are you open to receiving? Because when the aces come through, you have to be open to receiving. Okay? New moon. So let's take a look at new opportunities under this new moon in this new year. Eight of Wands looks really, really good. The card is reversed, but it really doesn't matter when we have a bird flying in the air and carrying a torch. So just keep up, basically keep up with what's going on. You already also got the Nine of Wands. You're already further along than you think. So I see a lot of productivity. Don't get lost in the shuffle. And don't forget that the Eight of Wands actually is a community-based card. A lot of times we just see the wands in the air, but imagine that it's like the sport of javelin or whatever, but there's people throwing those up. So there's a lot of people around you that you can lean into, just as you could with the Four of Wands or with the 10 of Cups or with the 10 of Pentacles or any of those, Two of Cups, Three of Cups, anything where you see people. The Eight of Wands actually has people too. They're just hidden. And unlike the Six of Wands, they're working with you or around you, so you can tap into them a little bit more. Cool. All right. Now let's take a look at prioritization in this new year, in this new moon. How do you focus on all of this? King of Pentacles. We love it. There's also, in some world religions, I know that the tortoise, basically the turtle is a symbol of the world. Like the globe is supposed to be his shell, right? To me, he's also a symbol of the hermit. And so this is coming out of your shell and realizing that everything you need, you have. And that's a symbol, like there's so many different things you can kind of ascribe to this. I love him as a totem too, but you've got everything you need inside you. It's also kind of the energy of the Fool, but a slower traveling Fool. So some of the energy that is going to happen could happen a little slow, but when it finally comes to fruition, you'll be surprised by the sort of magnitude of it. It's kind of like an iceberg where you're just seeing the top of the iceberg. So realize that you also are a lot more pivotal to your success and the success of others than you may give yourself credit for, because he is the sort of earth. He is the grounding and an energy or element in this. Looks good when it comes to overall finances this year. The big question first is, am I invested? Am I ready to receive? And does this feel right to me? If it does, then you're going to be okay. All right. So great cards. I mean, this 3 readings in a row, they've been really positive. There's a lot of good shifts coming through. Yes, there's energy of transformation. We did get death actually, even in the weekly spread. But as we're looking here in this sort of timeless spread, there's also the transformational energy of the Six of Swords and Four of Swords. So it's the aftermath after going through the initial change that we're seeing here. But overall, I think you've got a lot of opportunities. There is just a question of what's right, how invested am I, and also, do I feel like this is an expansion opportunity? Because the only thing that kind of like made me have a quick question is why the Hermit for the outcome. So it feels like there's a little bit of if we could get past the Hermit, it could happen sooner. Otherwise, it's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 extra months because there's this internal work that's going on. So the sooner you know yourself, the sooner you'll see the progress happen. Okay? Stay open. Stay open. All right, so that is the big part of this reading. A couple things here. We're going to do one more portion and then we'll wrap up. I'm going to look at a final question that you might have for me. So scribble that down on a piece of paper. And once I get everything cleared here and we do a quick meditation, I'll take a look at that. So just give me a second. All right, so the final card, which I'll pull in just a moment, is going to be something based on your own thoughts, your own questions, because I do my best here to look at everything, but it is a general forecast. So I want to make sure that you have a chance to kind of have something personal. I'm going to do a meditation in just a moment, so I'm going to give you a chance to pick one of two instruments. Which instrument would you like? And give me a second here to do this poll, and then we'll get started on the final portion. Just a quick note while I'm doing this, I just posted my schedule, so you can go to my website and everything is there. I'll be reading for, let's see, the first 3 signs, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini on Monday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. I'll have the other 2 signs up by later today so you can set your reminder. So I have a crystal pyramid, and I also have a singing bowl. Whichever one you would like, you can vote on. While I'm getting set up here, a quick reminder just to say thank you to everyone that's been present today. I appreciate you being a part of the growth on this channel. Like I said, if you can like and subscribe, that will help more than you could imagine. And again, just a simple button will help. You can only subscribe once in a lifetime. You can only like once per video, but it does help. If you'd like to show a little bit of support and give back here, I will say thank you at the very end for any super chats, and I'll heart any super thanks that you do later. Okay. So let's set the scene for today's meditation. I feel like with the new moon and with this sort of breakthrough energy of the egg, I'd like to kind of imagine that we're on the moon itself during the meditation. So go ahead and close your eyes and imagine that you are seated here on the earth, but you also have kind of like a spiritual component there on the moon. You can see yourself sitting cross-legged, and you don't need to breathe or anything on the moon because it's your spiritual self. Focus on looking at the beautiful blue earth in all its grandeur, and all the daily problems, all the daily issues that you have seem so minuscule from this vista, from this perspective. And from this perspective, you also see, almost like you would if you were to grab a globe and pull it in your hands or a map in front of you, you see your point and the end point very clearly, clearer than you've ever seen it before. And there's this sense of optimism. Wow, this could be easier than I thought. From this vista, imagine that just like the 2 of Wands, you could reach out, and it's an illusion, but you could hold the earth in your hand. You can also, if you'd like to, reach out towards the sun and hold that. And you're the 3rd piece of the Trinity here on the moon. So feel the energy of the earth, the moon, and the sun connecting to you. And as we kind of focus on that, whatever needs to come in the middle of that triangle is what you're manifesting. That's like your cosmic egg. All right. I'm going to play the singing bowl here for a few moments. And just imagine that you can see, like a crystal ball, what it is that you need to do next. You're going to receive a message from your guides. Just relax. I'll play the singing bowl, and I'll be back with you in just a couple minutes so we can finish up and see the final card. Take a deep breath. I want you to feel now that whatever it is that you've been trying to create is one step closer to you. See with crystal vision that you've always been capable of doing that which you seek. And imagine that this triangle in front of you, you could actually step through it, and it's a portal to what's possible. Step through that and see yourself one step closer to whatever it is that you want. Imagine that the walls have been broken down. Imagine that the blocks have been removed, and see yourself now on the shore of whatever it is that you had kind of like visualized there. Focus on your final question, whatever it is, and let's take a look and see what the messages are. We'll probably pull a clarifying card, but as a simple yes, no, the devil indicates that some more work needs to be done, some more information needs to be had. The main thing with the devil card is basically to prioritize truth and transparency. And also to make sure that if there's anything where you've been limited in thoughts, limited in actions, or if there's a contract that is not allowing you to do that which you seek, that is rectified. So definitely with this card, a little bit more work is needed. This is a clear not yet. And it's not like a full stop no. It's just you need to get some more clarity on this. Let's clarify why the devil came up. Is it fear? Is it a limitation? What is it? Okay, so for some of you, there could be this desire to simply do something your own way. You may also not agree with what authority has to say about something. So perhaps leadership or just the powers that be, whoever's making the decisions, they're just not on the right side of this. So if you feel like you need to go against the norm or against the status quo, that's something I've been talking about a lot today. Go for it. That's okay. You may be the rebel in the group, and that's taking you down your own path. Okay. So ultimately with this, I say that you have to be on the right side of history and the right side of what you want. So something here seems limited. There may be a lack of imagination, support, or vision around you. So you might have to kind of go through and be the change agent for that. Okay. Hopefully that helps. There's nothing really bad when we're just pulling a single question card like that. I just think there's some limits and there's some information. I'd love for you to have more autonomy and more control whenever I see the devil. And sometimes just don't force it. If the person's not there yet, like let's say you've tried to ask someone out or you're trying to get a job and you're just not getting luck at hearing back from them, that's the universe protecting you through rejection. Rejection's protection. So when you're not getting what you need, it's maybe because something else is better, or there's something need to be cleaned up on the other side first before you can move forward. All right. So it's not always a yes at the end. This one is saying that I think you can do better. I think that things will be okay. And if you don't agree with what's being said, then get another opinion or talk to someone else. And if you don't like being bossed around, then this is also about deciding, like, do I just want to do something on my own? Do I want to step out on my own? Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your presence today. And it's been a great start to the new year. I feel like, I've had a few readings here in a row, really positive energy coming through with all of them. Just a reminder, if you missed anything or you want to catch up with me on social media, you can follow that link that I put up above, pinned up above. And I try to put reminders there. If you'd like to give back, you can continue to do that by clicking here while I'm wrapping up. And again, a simple like or subscribe goes a long way. Subscribe is a weird word, but it just means follow. And on replay, you can hit thanks, which is another way to give back. I do also have a book. I talked about fantasy and sci-fi. It's called The Luminous Ones. It's on my website. If you like something like Dune or Lord of the Rings, you can check it out. I don't mention it all the time, but it is kind of fun. It's a longer read, but just there in case you like it. All right, let's go ahead now and say thanks to those of you that gave back a little bit today. Again, I appreciate everyone's presence. So whether you could or couldn't give back, it doesn't matter. Thank you for showing up. All right, but for those that did give back a little bit, I just want to say thank you. So let me open up the tab right now. I'll start first with any new members that we might have gotten today. So just a moment for that. Let's see. Okay, so to the new members today, looks like Mel Diaz, welcome. Jaya Journeys, and I think that's it. Scott Golan, Brad Hines, Killa G, Maybe these were from today. It's hard to remember if they're today or tomorrow, so I'll just read anyone from the last day. Patrice Walker, welcome back. Paris Bell, Daryl Hook, Sandra Shattuck, Sonia Scarf, Kathy Keller, V Call, and I think all of those are the ones that joined either today or recently. So thank you and welcome back, everyone. And I think we actually had someone that chose the galactic option. So thank you so much to Daryl for doing that. All right, let's go ahead now and say thanks to anyone that gave a super chat or super sticker. Give me a moment to get this pulled up. All right, here we go. Thank you this morning. I am Wendy with an I for kicking things off. I appreciate the 20. Susie or Susie S, thank you so much. Tony Z, Georgianne M, let's see, Root Korea or Korea. You're following D2, Becky Ryan, Katral or Katral, Phoebe, thank you very much. Robin Redman, Kathy Aram, Carrie Slavins, thank you for the 50 on that. I appreciate it. Miss Optimistic, ZM, Elisa S, Michelle Deploy, or Depoy rather, I'm sorry. Artist Ape again, I appreciate that. Slash Hortense B, I can't say the last name, sorry. Crystal McKnight, Beth Ann Shannon, Madam Party Girl, thank you. Marisha, thank you very much. Beverly, C. Megan, Yvette, thank you so much. Whether it was your first time giving, or it's $2 or $10, $50, doesn't matter. I just really appreciate your presence here and giving back, and it's helping me amp up the channel a little bit. I think you can hear me better and see me better, and all of that means a lot to me. So thank you all so much for being participants here, for making this possible, and for making this a great start to the new year. Special thanks as well to Dakota and Maria for helping me moderate today, and a reminder that I'll be here for Aries tomorrow. And I've also started doing some impromptu readings. So if you've never subscribed or opted into notifications, now's the time to do that so that you know. I actually did one yesterday, so you can see it on my main channel if you missed it. All right. Lots of love and light to everyone. Apollo is in the other room taking a nap, or I would bring him up here. So until I see you next, have a great new year. Good to see you, and much love and light. Bye-bye.